Heraclon Publishing presents Hawk, written by Jennifer Dance, narrated by Jacques Nadjiwon. Dear reader, Hawk is a story about the Alberta oil sands. It shows the conflict within a family whose livelihood depends on the oil sands industry, but whose health is also affected by it. I traveled to northern Alberta to research this story, hoping to find a balance between opposing views of the industry, seeing firsthand the scale of environmental and human impact. My hope is that Hawk will raise awareness and promote thought and discussion among young Canadians, motivating them to help safeguard our people, our animals, our land, and our water. Jennifer Dance. To Joanna, James, Aaron, Kate, Tarek, Matthew, and Kim, for simply being. Men and nature must work hand in hand. The throwing out of balance of the resources of nature throws out of balance also the lives of men. Franklin D. Roosevelt, 1935. Chapter 1. Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada. Less than an hour ago I was Adam, the long-distance runner. Now I'm Adam, the boy who... I can't even bring myself to say it. The car engine dies, and I realize that we are in the garage, yet I have no recollection of the drive home from Dr. Miller's office. I stare through the windshield. The walls of the garage swim around me. My thoughts won't move past, "This can't be happening." Angela walks around the car and opens my door. She's my mother, but I will never call her that. I figure that she hasn't earned the title. She didn't raise me. Neither did my father. Most of the time, I don't call him anything, but when I have to use a name, I call him Frank. I enjoy rubbing both their noses in the fact that although they are my biological parents, that's as far as it goes. They never were and never will be Mom and Dad. They left me up in Fort Chipewyan when I was a baby, and they didn't reclaim me until I was 8. Like I was a piece of lost luggage. "It will be okay," Angela says. "It will be okay." I climb out of the car and follow her into the house like a zombie. She's like a zombie too, stuck on a repeat cycle of "it will be okay." I kick off my shoes and I leave them where they lie. Angela puts them on the mat alongside hers. A question hits me like an arrow in the heart. How much longer will Angela have to deal with my mess? And how much longer will she have to deal with me? I feel strange, like I'm floating, not walking. Angela hands me the mail, and I put it on the kitchen counter. It's the same routine as before, but nothing is the same as before. Everything is different. An hour ago, I would have pounced on the McDonald's flyer, stuffing the coupons in my pocket, but now I couldn't care less. Life as I know it is over. Chapter 2. The female fishhawk is returning from the heavy humidity of the Texas marshes to the cool, crisp air of northern Alberta where she was born, to the place where memory tells her that the lakes and rivers are filled with fish, and men are few and far between. She has never made the migration in this direction, yet she knows the way. She is here to find a mate. With a roar, the plane races down the runway. The wheels leave the ground and we rise into the air, the nose pointing steeply toward the bright blue sky. My stomach gets left behind, but that's normal for me these days. I often feel as if I'm in several different pieces, all of them trying to stay together. In seconds, Fort McMurray becomes a toy town, with Highway 63 stretched out like a piece of knotted string. I recognize the downtown core and the miniature houses of thickwood where I live. It should be exciting. It's not. I'm numb. Briefly, before the plane turns, I see the oil sands to the north, a strange, dull emptiness merging with the distant horizon. No forest, nothing green, just hazy brown sky and a landscape the color of mud. In some strange way, I feel as if I'm looking at myself, used up, depleted, empty. The plane levels out, and we start our journey south. I look down on the river meandering in S-shaped loops through spruce green wilderness. I know that I'm flying in the opposite direction of the flow. It's going north, up to Lake Athabasca, where I grew up. A distant memory comes to me, water lapping gently against sand, and a little boat tipped upside down under the trees. For a second, my heart feels like it might burst out of my chest. I can't believe that I miss the old place. It's been over 6 years since I left there and came south to live with Frank and Angela in Fort McMurray. I knew that McMurray was the oil boom town, so I'd thought it would be dirty and oily and smoky. But it's not. The sky is usually bright blue, and the trees are everywhere. In summer, it's like living in a green bowl with a river flowing right through the middle. In winter, not so much. When I first arrived, I thought the coolest thing was the fast food. You could get anything. Burgers, fries, pizza. Definitely better than eating fish all the time. Whether it was baked, stewed, fried, or made into soup, it was all still fish. The next best thing was the TV. My grandfather had an ancient box with rabbit ears, and that was right out of prehistoric times. So Frank's flat screen with countless channels kept me spellbound for hours. Even so, it wasn't good enough for him. He soon replaced it with a thinner one. And now we have an awesome 70-inch model. It's almost like going to the movies. At the beginning, Frank and Angela showered me with clothes and toys and video games. They were trying to buy me, but I didn't care. I took it as a payback for the years they gave me nothing, and I never gave an inch of affection in return. They still gave me things, but the toys have morphed into the latest iPhone, iPad, and Wii, and the clothes include the best running gear on the market. So why is the old place on the shore of Lake Athabasca tugging at my heart? It doesn't even have a McDonald's. It doesn't make sense. McMurray is my home. There's fun stuff to do there, and people to do it with, and more girls to see in a minute than I would see all year up in Chip. My stomach lurches. I'm flying toward a different future, one that I'm sure doesn't involve fun, fast food, or girls. My heart sinks even lower at the thought of Chrissy, the only girl I've thought about for months, or did before all this hijacked my life. What are my chances with her now? Zip. For the briefest moment, I see a bird flying north. I wish I was going with it. Instead, I'm headed south to Edmonton, to the Stollery's Children's Hospital, and I'm scared. There's nothing I can do. I'm powerless. I wipe my clammy hands on my jeans and force myself to breathe deeply, the way my running coach has taught me. It doesn't help. Angela is in the seat next to me, her fingers working the rosary beads in her lap. She's praying under her breath. But when I listen hard, I hear the same phrases that she's been mumbling all week. It will be okay. It will be okay. I don't believe her, and I don't think that she believes it herself either. We fly through cloud. It hangs against the window, thick and damp and gray. I can't see outside, any more than I can see my own future. I'm flying blind. It's daunting. There's a jolt as the plane touches down. We've landed. Yet I have little recollection of the last part of the flight. I've been reliving the day just 2 weeks ago when a grim-faced doctor pronounced 2 words that changed my life. It's leukemia. Angela gasped. I knew vaguely what leukemia was, but in hope that I was mistaken, I blurted out, "What's leukemia?" "Cancer of the white blood cells." My pulse pounded in my ears, drowning out the doctor's words. I felt strange, as if I was outside myself looking in. Occasionally, words pierced the fog. 3.5 years treatment, Edmonton, Calgary, Children's Hospital, Ronald McDonald. "Do you have any questions, Adam?" the doctor asked. I wanted to know what Ronald McDonald had to do with anything. I didn't ask. My voice had vanished. Angela unclips her seatbelt. The metallic clunk bringing me abruptly back to my surroundings. I get out of my seat and follow her up the aisle of the plane to the exit, moving oddly, almost gliding, feeling as if the contents of my head are floating along a few inches behind. Angela looks back at me. She's tired, I can tell. Her eyes are red and puffy. Briefly, I catch a look of pity on her face, and then it's gone, replaced with determined but silent, "It will be okay." Life has changed. And although part of me hopes that I'm in a nightmare and I will wake up soon, somewhere deep inside, I know that things will never be the same. Chapter 3. From high in clear blue sky, the fishhawk scans the land for one particular fish-bearing river. She sees its familiar shape and knows she is nearly home. She now searches for the tall, dry spruce where her parents had raised her, high above the reach of predators. Her powerful eyes spot a squirrel scampering up a tree and a mouse darting across open ground. Her cousin, the red-tailed hawk, would have pounced on these meals. But the fishhawk is not interested in small land creatures. She eats only fish. She continues searching, but something isn't right. If you're going to fight a terminal illness, I guess this is the best place to do it. It's bright and cheerful looking here at Stollery. Everyone is really nice, and the doctors and nurses seem to know what they're doing. But I don't want to be here on the oncology ward. I don't want to see kids with bald heads and skinny arms and gown-covered stick-like bodies. I don't want to look like them. I don't want to be stripped of everything I am. I was second in last year's cross-country meet for all schools in the Wood Buffalo region. I plan to win gold this year. I plan to win gold this year. How the hell can this be happening to me? I'm hundreds of kilometers from home, and I don't know what lies ahead. I don't know what they're going to do with me, how much it will hurt, or how much pain I can take. My future is one huge question mark, and although I hate to admit it, I'm scared, really scared. Even though Angela is here with me, I feel completely alone. I can't talk to her. She left me when I was a baby, and I don't think I'll ever forgive her for that. Or Frank. Several times since they reclaimed me, Angela has told me how hard it was for her leaving me in Fort Chipewyan with my grandfather. Hello, how about asking me how hard it was for me? Both she and Frank told me they did it for me, because they wanted me to have all the opportunities they had never had. They said they had to leave Fort Chip to be trained and get good jobs, blah, blah, blah. I didn't buy it then, and I still don't buy it now. They left me. It was my grandfather who took care of me all those years. Recently, Frank and Angela have changed their story. They told me they were just kids themselves when I was born, so they needed to grow up before they could raise me. They say I'm old enough now to understand. But they are wrong, because I still don't understand. They are always wrong about everything. Eventually, once they'd figured out they'd grown up enough, they sent me a one-way plane ticket. They told me my grandfather was coming to live with us too. Soon, they had said. But soon turned out to be more than 6 years. He moved to McMurray just a couple of months ago. And I'm pretty sure that my parents only flew him down here because they'd heard rumors about school kids doing drugs and getting arrested, committing suicide, or getting pregnant. Frank and Angela must have figured my grandfather could provide round-the-clock daycare while they were both working. Like I need a babysitter. Come on, I'm almost 15. All the same, I was looking forward to him coming. I thought it was going to be great, because I remember being happy when I lived with him. But when he arrived, everything was different. With the 4 of us under one roof, everyone was on edge. Before my grandfather came, Frank would tell me to be respectful to my elders, and by that he meant him. But I never saw him doing anything that earned my respect, so I never gave it. And now that my grandfather lives with us, Frank isn't respectful to him at all. In fact, the two of them can't get along. Frank is such a hypocrite. He only gets along with Angela, and I don't get along with either of them. My grandfather is the only one I feel affection for, but he's so stuck in the old ways that it's like he's from another planet, and we have nothing in common. When everyone is in the house at the same time, I stay in my bedroom. My grandfather does the same. It's a good thing that Frank and Angela work shifts, or we'd never come down to eat. Now that I'm stuck here in the hospital, the idea of living in a house where 4 people are at war sounds half decent. If I could go home, I'd be nicer to them. If only I didn't have to be here. Here. There are 10 beds in this ward, and the other 9 kids all look much worse than me. Some of them are totally bald. I can't even tell for sure if they're guys or girls, and their age is anyone's guess. When I first got here, most of them stared at me silently. A few said hi. I didn't say it back. Angela smiled at them, whispering to me that I should be nice and make friends. But I didn't want to be nice, and I still don't. I don't want to make friends. Not here. Because all the kids here have cancer with a capital C. How can I be one of them? I tell myself I'm going to wake up soon, and this will all have been a bad dream. But it's no dream. I'm awake. There are 10 beds, and I'm in one of them. 1 in 10. It's a statistic that has been plaguing me since I left Dr. Miller's office when Angela told me over and over everything would be okay. She said the survival rate for leukemia is much better than it used to be, and that I have a 90% chance of becoming cancer-free and living a completely normal life. She said it quite a few times. Perhaps she was trying to convince herself that it was true. When I think about getting 90% on a test, it seems really high. But instead of focusing on that, I focus on the 10% of people who fail the test, the 10% of people who will die. To me, that sounds really high too. 1 in 10. 5 days ago, I didn't think I would be the one. 3 days ago, I considered that I might be the one. But today, in this ward with exactly 10 beds, the possibility is crushing me, and my insides heave. 1 in 10. My chest tightens and my skin prickles. 1 of these 10. My heart does a powerful thump, and my body feels as if I've been zapped with electricity. Then anger comes out of nowhere. I want to hit someone, or something. But the last few days have shown me that even punching pillows turns my knuckles blue with bruises. I want to escape. I want to run, like I did in the old days, mile after mile, leaping streams of fallen logs, past the colorful flags flapping in the breeze, and the cheering crowd near the finish line. But even then, I want to keep running, my feet falling on the trail until there's no trail left. Run? I almost laugh. It's so ridiculous. I'm worn out just climbing into bed. The only thing that can still run is my imagination, and I'm totally scared of where that might take me. Chapter 4. The air is filled with pockets of turbulence that ruffle the hawk's feathers, pitching her from side to side. She angles her tail and flaps hard to stay on course. This blustery wind is generally a sign of bad weather. Past experience tells her to take cover in the forest before the wind and the rain knock her from the sky. But looking down, she realizes that the boreal forest is no longer there. Overhead, the sun droops toward the western horizon, assuring her she is still on course. But beneath her wings, nothing is recognizable. Everything has changed. Angela goes back to do some paperwork. She promises to be back soon. I contemplate life without running. I bury my head in the pillow, hold my breath, and will myself to die. Nothing happens. I toss the pillow aside and come up gasping for air. I pull the covers over my head and try to pretend that I'm somewhere else. It works for a few seconds, but I can't escape my dark thoughts for long. They turn suddenly toward Gemma, and how mad I am at her. How could she just disappear like she did? I thought she was my best friend. People who don't know us think we're brother and sister, which is nuts because she's Italian-Canadian. But I see what they mean. She looks more First Nations than I do. She tans really quickly in summer, so her skin is as dark as mine, and she has straight black hair, but hers is long, and she wears it in a ponytail. Plus, we both love running, and we both want to win. She's definitely the fastest girl at McMurray High, and I'm the top guy. But even so, we push each other to do better because we both want to win the regionals. We train together and hang out afterward, going for burgers or our favorite, New York fries, even though our coach says we shouldn't eat that crap. We're inseparable. We were inseparable. As soon as she heard I had cancer, she vanished. What kind of a best friend does that? It really sucks. I want to vent about everything I'm going through, but she's not here. I'm mad at her. It's not fair. She can't still run. I can't. Maybe that's what bugs me the most. I breathe deeply and repeat the phrase that I always recite before a race. Be still. Be present. Breathe. It doesn't work. The memory of the last time I saw Gemma gnaws at me with fresh disappointment. The week I got my diagnosis, she came by the house with a get-well card from the runners at the Mac Island Club. But she just handed the card to Angela and left. By the time I dragged myself to the front door, she was long gone. If I'd had the energy, I would have followed her out onto the street and told her what she could do with that card. Instead, I started to text her a really mean message, but I deleted it and tried again, hammering my thumbs on the screen so hard that Angela warned me not to break my phone. In the end, I tossed the phone down and just screamed inside my head, "I hate you, Gemma!" I tried to hide the tears that pooled in my eyes, but Angela saw them, which was the worst. I hung on to the tears, though. I didn't let them spill. At least Angela didn't say something stupid like, "Don't cry, or everything will be okay." She told me that Gemma probably didn't stick around for a visit because she didn't know what to say to me. I wouldn't know what to say to me either. I'm not the same person Gemma liked to hang out with. I can't run. I can't go out for burgers and fries. And I don't want to play video games where we just start over when we use up all of our lives. The last few days have shown me that death isn't like that. Plus, now I'm miles away from home, so she couldn't even visit even if she wanted to. She could phone, though, or email or text. Angela says I should give Gemma more time to come to terms with what's happening to me. But it's not fair. I'm the one who's sick. She should be giving me time, not the other way around. I feel like a shaken bottle of Coke, ready to explode, ready to spew rage everywhere. I clench my teeth to hold it in and repeat my mantra. Be still. Be present. Breathe. Maybe it works a little. When I think about it, Gemma might have been mad at me before I got my diagnosis. Our relationship had changed for sure. During the spring, we spent less time running and more time walking. That was fine with me because I was always tired. Now I know why. But walking gave Gemma more time to talk. Even though she was my best friend, I often tuned out her constant chatter and let my thoughts turn to Chrissy, a girl from school who I really liked. But then, out of the blue, while we were walking along the trail, Gemma stopped and kissed me. Just like that. I have nothing against kissing, but the problem was it felt all wrong. Like kissing your sister. Not at all the way I was imagining kissing Christy would be. Anyway, I pushed Gemma away, saying something about being loyal to Chrissy, which was stupid since Chrissy barely knew I existed then. And Gemma knew that. Anyway, she said it was fine, and she seemed okay with it. She said we needed to train harder, and she took off down the trail, running so fast I couldn't catch up with her. I wonder now if I hurt her feelings. Being stuck here in the hospital with nothing but my own thoughts makes me wonder about a lot of things. Chapter 5. Beneath the fishhawk's weary wings, man-machines belch smoke and kick up swirling dust. She blinks and flies on through the haze. The scent of pine gives way to the smell she recognizes from her southern home. The smoky stench that billows from the metal trees that grow in the warm ocean. The reek of the glossy slick that sometimes floats on the balmy water there, making it shimmer with rainbow colors. She has learned that this is not a good place to hunt, not a good place to be. The ward lights have been turned down low, but I can still see things dimly. My bed is cocooned by curtains. Angela is trying to settle down on the narrow cot at my side. She doesn't have to stay here. The government will pay for a hotel room, one of the few perks of being First Nations. But she insists on staying, at least until I've settled in. Her long black hair is stark against the white pillow. She curls up and then stretches out, obviously not comfortable. But then again, neither am I. A feeling of thankfulness spreads over me like a warm blanket. I'm glad that she's here, and I'm not alone. She's been really nice to me since I got my diagnosis. She's always been nice to me, but this is different. I wonder if she's trying to make up for the first 8 years of my life when she barely knew me, or maybe the last 6 when we lived together in the same house but have been miles apart. I guess it's just possible that during those 6 years the problem might have been with me. I never let her get close, even though she told me how sorry she was for leaving me with my grandfather all those years ago. She said that if she had her life to do over, she wouldn't make that same mistake. Part of me wanted to believe her. It still does. But part of me wanted to hurt her, to make her pay for abandoning me. Now I don't know what to think. It's too much for my brain to handle. I'm relieved I'm not alone, though, so I'm kind of glad that Angela is here. Yes, I'm definitely glad that she is here. "Good night, Adam," she whispers. "Good night," I say, the word mom almost coming from my lips, but not quite. Soon she's breathing rhythmically, and I know she's sleeping. I'm desperate to sleep too, to escape from here. But the mattress is too hard and the pillow is too soft. I toss and turn. I try breathing deeply, but nothing helps because my mind won't switch off. It wanders back to track and field day at Fort McMurray, just 2 weeks ago. I have to run the final leg of the boys' 4x100-meter relay, because I'm the runner. It's who I am. Or rather, it's who I was. But I'm not a sprinter, and I tell them that I'm a distance runner. There's a big difference. But they don't listen. My team is in first place as I take over the baton for the last leg. The crowd is roaring, and my legs are pumping. But they refuse to fly like they normally do, and my lungs are burning. One boy passes me, and then another. I throw myself across the finish line and collapse on the grass, gasping for air. My team curses me. I'm ticked that everyone is blaming me for losing. I'm not a sprinter, I repeat. I'm a distance runner. I told you that. It's your own fault. Mr. Seaton, the phys ed teacher, is disappointed in me too. He says I need to work harder, that I've lost my drive. Just because he arranged for me to train for free on the indoor track at Mac Island, he thinks I owe him something. All through the winter, I'd pounded the track, telling myself I was going to be the best cross-country runner not only in Fort McMurray, but in all of Wood Buffalo region. But as winter dragged on, running wasn't the fun that it used to be. I told myself that the indoor track was the problem. I wanted winter to end so that I could run under the sky instead of the gray metal roof that made me feel trapped. The ice was gone from the trails by mid-April, and the mud dried quickly in the warm sun. Gemma and I started running the track that carves its way through the ravine down the river. It didn't help. I was still tired. She would take the lead with the spring in her step, changing her stride from the sandy gravel of the main trail to the spongy moss in the depths of the forest, and then to the boardwalk over the marsh, while I'd struggled just placing one foot in front of the other. Angela noticed how tired I was and said that I was going through changes, that I was in a growth spurt, and that tiredness is a normal part of growing up. She said that boys, especially, can get sore legs when they're growing fast. They even have a name for it. Growing pains. She said it would pass. She was wrong. She always is. The kid in the bed next to me is crying. He's about 6 years old, and his mother isn't with him. I feel sad for him. A nurse comes, drawing the curtain with a soft swish. I wonder if I will ever get any sleep here. I'm so tired, but my mind won't stop spinning. It returns yet again to the track meet at school. I get that loser feeling again of knowing that I'd let the others down. I hate it. I desperately wanted that day to be over so I could get out of the heat, lie on the sofa and watch TV. Instead, I'd flopped on the grass under the trees, swigging from my water bottle and pouring the rest over my head in a futile attempt to re-energize. The announcer called for the long jump competitors to make their way to the pit. I dragged myself up, happy at least that this was the last event of the day. When I finally got home, I staggered through the front door, throwing my gear aside. My running shoes were laced tightly to my feet. They wouldn't kick off, and I didn't have the energy to untie them. So I stumbled to the family room and collapsed face down on the sofa. "Adam," Angela scolded. I rolled my eyes at the thought that my mother was already home from work. At the same time, I realized why my grandfather was not at the door to greet me. He was up in his room, keeping out of Angela's way. "Oh my goodness, what happened?" she exclaimed. I had no idea what she was talking about. "That bruise on the back of your leg." I swiveled to where Angela was pointing. There was a dark bruise all over my thigh. I yanked my shorts up higher. The bruise went right up to the top of my backside. What happened? I had to think for a moment before it came back to me. "Oh yeah, I did long jump. I covered a good distance with my feet, but then I fell backward and sat down in the sand pit. It didn't hurt, though." "There's no way you could have gotten a bruise that bad that fast, unless the long jump pit has rocks in it. Is anyone pushing you around?" "No." I remember the look of concern on her face. "If someone was bullying you or being mean to you, you'd tell me, wouldn't you?" "Of course I'd tell you," I said, thinking that Angela would be the last person I'd tell. I guess I landed harder than I thought. She unlaced my running shoes, prying them from my feet. "You look exhausted. Go on up to bed. I'll bring you snack in a few minutes." But it was like my body had molded itself into the sofa so that we were inseparable. Angela brought a pillow and a blanket and told me to stay there and sleep. The words were barely out of her mouth when I felt myself slipping away. When I woke up, I was face down on the pillow in a warm, wet puddle. I remember swiping my hand across my mouth, figuring it was drool.